what can I say about saving Israel for last? Because that's a good way to end things. Everybody says, all the Q believers, all the trust the plan, Trump magatards, they say that all of this is part of the plan. All of the awakening of Jewish influence, the attack on whites, white genocide, Trump's presidency, that he had a plan for all of this. That he is intentionally allowing the Jews to destroy free speech, pull our military back into another conflict, send money exclusively, foreign aid exclusively to Israel and no other nations in the world. He is deporting legal residents of America because they are anti-Semitic. He is removing $400 million worth of aid to Columbia University because they hosted alleged Hamas-aligned protests, which simply means kids don't like watching innocent women and children die in Palestine, so they organize a campus event. The leader of that event gets deported from the country, and the school where the event was held gets fined $400 million. And Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, the highest legislative official in the country, makes it her top priority to go after anti-Semites. And Donald Trump issues an executive order saying we are going after anti-Semites. And they recruit RFK, the head of the Health and Human Services, to say that anti-Semitism is a plague that must be confronted just like any epidemic. So they're using every instrument of the government to go after people who are critical of the foreign nation of Israel, the Jewish religion, or Jewish influence in any way, shape, or form in our nation. If you're critical of anything using the J word, then you're an anti-Semite. You are subject to social, reputational, professional assassination or deportation. And if you're an organization, they'll destroy it. Whether you're an individual, organization, whatever, they're going after you. And so this is actually very reminiscent of Weimar Germany, where there are people who argue, and I think that they may be right, that Weimar Germany, the political leaders at the time allowed anti-Semitism to propagate. All of the debauchery, the prostitution of children, the transgender studies, the multiculturalism that was being forced on them, trying to strip them of their German identity, the backstabbing efforts of the previous war, that public sentiment that these Jews are doing a lot of bad stuff to our country. And first they tried to censor it, and once the censorship became unsustainable, it started to leak out into the public. There are some who believe that not only did they see that it was leaking out and stop trying to smash it down, because that would have resulted in complete authoritarianism, they actually increased the volume on it, and they did this in order to facilitate the creation of Palestine. The Jews actually wanted this as an outcome. They wanted the public sentiment to be so negative towards Jews in Germany that collectively the German people and the German government would say, just get them out of here. Give them money, give them a first-class trip to wherever the fuck they want to go. Just get them out of our country. And this is the Havara Agreement. The coin that has a Nazi swastika on one side and a Star of David on the other, that's kind of a weird collaboration. I thought the Nazis wanted to kill every Jew on the planet. But they actually used their own financial resources and their own military to help them establish a homeland. And so it is argued that the German people, and I'm referring to the population, were allowed to stew in this rising anti-Semitism so that they would be happy to just remove them. They don't want them dead, they just want them removed. They'll even give their tax dollars to go help them be elsewhere. And there's an argument that says that's kind of what Trump is doing right now. He's saving Israel for last. He is allowing them to overshare and overplay their hand with all of this censorship, with the exclusive foreign aid while we turn it off to everybody else, with using every office of the government to go after anti-Semites, going after the colleges. He is intentionally doing all of this to bring attention to the fact that there is an obvious carve-out or a fifth column in the government that puts Israel before America. And that it's not just our government, it's also in higher education, it's also in the media industry, it's also in finance. And so there are some who say, the whole Q-tards, say that this is all part of the plan. Like when Trump published that 3-minute AI-generated video of the future Gaza Strip with him as a golden statue and fucking bearded, dress-wearing, let's not even go there, that people took great offense to that video because it was obviously an offensive video, because it implies that you basically killed and deported everybody who was there first and then built a shrine to yourself, and that America was going to move in a partnership with Israel and create a giant tourist attraction for the whole world. Obviously, it was an offensive video, but the argument is that that was done intentionally to drive a negative public sentiment towards Israel. And unfortunately, that comes with everybody else in the world knowing that America and Israel come like two peas in a pod. We're inextricably connected due to the blackmail, due to the infiltration of our government and all of our other civil institutions. But just by doing those transgressive things, by stomping on free speech, by putting out these highly offensive videos, by making public statements about how everybody in Palestine needs to either be willing to die or relocate. And that's coming from your American president. That's not coming from the Prime Minister of Israel. It's not coming from Bibi Netanyahu. That's coming from Donald Trump. He is intentionally being highly divisive because that division calls attention to the fact that we are obviously owned by Israel. And so this is basically 5-dimensional chess, if you believe that's what's happening. There's a good argument for it that maybe this is the only way, because the alternative, just to play the hypothetical, the alternative of exposing Israel is Donald Trump goes out there and says, this is going to destroy my reputation and they're probably going to assassinate me. And listen, the truth is, I'm being blackmailed. They have sex tapes. They have documents about financial practices that were illegal, other incriminating things. I'm just laying it all out there because I feel like America is more important than myself. I'll die. My family will die. It doesn't matter to me. I'm trying to save America. We're occupied, okay? Like if he went on national live TV and just said that, he could do that. He could. He knows all of this. Obviously, that brings the risk of himself dying and his family dying and many others who he is tied to dying. But that is option A. Option B is super duper complex 5D chess where I pretend like I really, really love Israel and I'll do anything for them and I'll accept money from them to get into office and then I will do everything politically to support their war and I'll deport people who are critical of them and so on and so forth. I'll go through the entire alphabet of ways I can support them just to demonstrate the fact that they have this much control. Like those are your two options. You either just expose the fact that our entire government's being blackmailed. Here's the Epstein files. Here's the videos of the celebrities and the politicians and the billionaires who have been seduced into this honeypot operation. It is what it is. Let the country self-destruct. You know, like if he was a genuinely brave, courageous man, in my opinion, that's the faster track to America extracting itself from Israel influence. But he's not doing that. He's doing this whole, if you think this is even his motive, this slow drip of let the anti-Semitism build and build and build and let it become more and more obvious. And that's what people think is trusting the plan and saving Israel for last. So I wanted to talk through that because it's possible that that's what's happening, but that's a mission of such complexity and such fragility that if they simply kill him, need I remind you who steps into the Oval Office? J.D. Vance. Hey, didn't we just do an entire documentary about J.D. Vance and his ascendancy to the vice presidency coming through a completely manufactured private sector and public sector career of a whopping 2 years of political experience, a completely propped up, fake, silver platter career handed to him by Peter Thiel and the other Jewish Silicon Valley operators who are deeply beholden to the nation of Israel. Palantir and Alex Karp, Peter Bronfman, all the other people who are responsible for creating that persona that we call J.D. Vance. It's not even his real name. It's like James Donald Bowman or something like that. There's a whole documentary I called J.D. Vance, the Con Artist, and it's 50 or 40 minutes long, and there's like 100 receipts about how this guy is more dangerous than Trump in terms of his allegiance to Israel and various Jews who are billionaires who have subverted our tech industry and our government and our media. So I don't know which one of those two things is happening confidently. I lean much more towards, you know what, I'm not going to say. I'm going to let you guys do some critical thinking on your own. Is he saving Israel for last? Or does he just care about his reputation and he doesn't want to get killed? He wants to go down in history as a good president, but not so good and courageous that he's willing to die for it, that he's going to gatekeep and ban anti-Semites and all this other stuff. I don't know. We'll find out.
Beholden to Truth. Christ culture. White identity. And fitness lifestyle. Red pilling the masses. On the front lines. Against the synagogue of Satan.